Where I live, the name behind performance is Performance Improvements. Been around for about 40 years, living through good and bad, trend by trend, always rock steady, there with the parts that you need if you wanted to go modifying your car, or more importantly, go racing of virtually any kind. Now, the guy behind all of that is a guy named Bob McJannett. Bob McJannett is not only a great guy and an icon among car guys, but he's chronicled the business over the last 40 years and just finished his own little dream car. So we thought we'd catch up with Bob McJannett and see what makes him tick.
We've raised a family and grown a pretty decent business out of something that we thought we would never last more than a year in, and only had $1,500 to invest. It's been excellent for us. We spend a lot of time on the phone. We have probably more people than we need on the counter, just because usually the phones are always ringing. And if we don't have anyone to serve you when you finally do get in the store, you're not happy. But we also don't want to ignore our phone calls. So we work pretty hard to do a good job on that. Technology is changing dramatically. Once upon a time, you would sell a carburetor and an intake manifold and think you'd had a home run. Well, they really haven't built a car since 1983 with a carburetor on it. So there's a lot more things going that are computerized, and all the devices that they use to upgrade the computers and vehicles and things like that. This is the car that I would have built in 1963 if I'd had the money. And it's a little project that I started about 3.5 years ago, and I wanted very much to have a highboy roadster. I mean, this is the car if you're a hot rod guy from the 60s. And it had to have a small block Chev engine, it had to have 2.4s, and it had to have no top. And it's a project that I've worked on, I guess, all by myself in a garage with just help from a few of my friends, and trying to prove that the old bugger could still do this kind of stuff. That's really what I was up to. It's got a 32 Ford frame that's been boxed. It has a traditional dropped axle. It would not have had disc brakes in the 60s, but I'm not crazy. So it's got disc brakes on the front. It is a 327 Chevrolet engine out of a 68 car. We've been through the engine a couple times to make sure that everything is perfect. It's got a, let me think about this, comp cams camshaft, just enough to make it lumpy a little bit. B&M gave me a transmission for it. It's a turbo 350, and it's got a Ford 9-inch rear end in it. The body itself is fiberglass. It's pretty hard to get steel, although there's a company now in Detroit building them. And it's simply a labor of love for me. You'd be a real cool guy in 1965 with this car. And this would have been pretty unusual. We all wanted them, but none of us could either find them or afford them.